Greetings, humans. You have entered the Command Zone, your destination for all aspects of Elder Dragon Highlander. Enjoy your stay.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does whatever a spider can. The
web sling was out. Here comes the Spider-Man preview card. Here comes the Spider-Man preview card, everyone. We clearly know.
I like how we both didn't know the second verse at all.
There's no way. Even if you gave me like a day, I wouldn't remember it.
No.
Yeah, Spider-Man is almost here, and boy, oh boy, there's a lot of sweet cards, and today we're going to be previewing one of them for you all. It's a card reveal. It's a very special one.
Yep. Without further ado, our preview card is Hydro Man. Hydro Man
does whatever a Hydro Man can.
It's Hydro Man, Fluid Felon.
Yeah.
Blue. For a legendary creature, elemental villain, it's a 2/2. Says whenever you cast a blue spell, if Hydro Man is a creature, he gets +1/+1 until end of turn.
If he's a creature.
At the beginning of your end step, untap Hydro Man. Until your next turn, he becomes a land and gains tap to add blue mana. He's not a creature during that time, is the reminder text.
Wow.
And the flavor text as well, I always wanted a waterfront view. That's a quote from Spider-Man.
Yeah. Always with the puns, always with the fun little jabs.
So very interesting. It's got kind of a blue spell prowess.
Yep.
Like it doesn't care if it's a non-creature. A blue creature will also trigger and make Hydro Man bigger, but just till end of turn.
Spell. As long as he is a creature, because at the end of your turn, he does something that no card, I think, has ever done in Magic before. Becomes untapped and completely loses all creature types and then becomes a land.
Yeah, I think there are creatures that have become lands or can become lands in different ways. But yeah, this one untaps itself, does it every turn.
And there's no longer a creature specifically, which is really interesting.
And this is obviously can be an advantage because lands are a lot harder to remove than creatures. So your commander is kind of protected when it's not your turn. Basically means only instant speed removal could get him.
Yeah.
Then also, of course, it is ramp, right?
Yeah, interestingly enough, it is ramp. If you play this on turn 2, you will have technically access to an additional blue mana as soon as your turn ends.
Yeah.
And past that, every single time it's not your turn, you're still going to have that additional mana. During your turn, Hydro Man's not a land, so you won't have 3 mana when you untap with him. When you get to your next turn if he's untapped, because again, he's a creature. So very interesting. Yeah,
it's kind of ramp, I guess, for instance only.
Yeah, for instance only, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, but let's talk about the fact that he just straight up dodges removal. So really interestingly, you can use this in Great Ways in Blue because you have instant speed stuff, but it only dodges like a board wipe that happens or a removal spell that happens when it's someone else's turn, not your own, or after the trigger has resolved on your end step, and I guess you can, there's a tiny period of a window period after the trigger resolves before it passes your turn.
Yeah, he's obviously good if you're the one casting instant speed.
Yeah.
Like board wipes and stuff like that. There's a lot to unpack here. I think the first thing I'm thinking about is like, if this is my commander, I want a bunch of 1 mana instant stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's to take advantage of what you said, which is I played on turn 2, and then I pass the turn, and it becomes a land.
And now you have Pongify mana open.
Yeah, or Swan Song or something like that. And because it's not a creature anymore, the Summoning Sickness doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It just is a land. And so Brainstorm or all kinds of stuff, you just want probably like 10 to 15 1-drop instants. You might want more than that. We're going to talk about other things later. But at least that amount, if this was your commander, I would think, just to... Because that's one of the great advantages you get by playing this commander is just access to mana early, and if you can use it, we've talked about this before, but a general theory of Magic is like whoever spends the most mana over the course of the game
is typically tending to win that game. Yeah,
it's definitely advantage. So it's like, I get this extra mana on turn 2, kind of. Which makes it in some ways like better than a Rampant Growth or something, because as long as you can use the mana, because a Rampant Growth, right, it comes in tapped, you do get, you can obviously use that for Sorcery Suite stuff, but there's some advantage there anyway.
Yeah, and you do want cheap spells later on, because every time you cast a blue spell, you're going to pump him, and because he can attack, he's always going to untap at the end of your turn. So he's actually a commander that wants to both cast a bunch of instant sorceries and be used in combat, it seems like. Another interesting thing is that...
Yeah, that's actually a really good point, though. I don't want to, like...
No.
Yeah. That you want them to be instants also, because on your turn, all of a sudden, if you attack with it, Brainstorms was really good if you could use it on turn 1, but it's also really good as kind of a combat trick with this guy. Like, how are you blocking this if it's coming swinging in on turn 3 or 4?
Yeah, you could cast 3 instants at that,
and pump it up, eat their thing.
Yeah.
And it's going to untap, so there's no reason not to attack with it.
Yeah, unless you have other ways to tap it for abilities, but typically not super common strategy in blue.
Yeah, it's going to be annoying. It's going to get in there. It's just going to be really hard to block, I think.
It definitely has villainous vibes, right? The villain does attack.
Yeah,
they are
wants to be hitting you.
Yeah, wants to be hitting you.
Hurting you.
Another thing that is interesting is that once you get past that sort of first turn, we have that extra mana. Now all of a sudden, a lot of things open up to be really interesting. So instant speed board wipes are really good. Evacuation, which returns all creatures to their owner's hands. If you're only playing Hydro Man and you untap and now you have 5 mana available to you, that evacuation looks really nice.
Yeah, on the end step before your turn, bounce everything, but your commander was a land at that time, and all of a sudden, then it goes to your turn. Nobody's got anything except you have your commander out.
Yeah,
there's a pretty good spot to be in.
There's a bunch of these in blue: Perplexing Test, Engulf the Shore, and then you also have just artifact-based removal that you can use at instant speed, like Nevinyrral's Disc, a card that we rarely see played, but
famously doesn't hit lands, hits almost everything else. Doesn't hit planeswalkers either. Yeah, Nevinyrral seems really, really good because also you cast it for 4, then your dude untaps and gives you the 1 mana to like blow it up.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh man, that's super annoying. So we plays Nevinyrral's with this commander out.
Yeah, you can't obviously play a bunch of artifacts or enchantments because it will hurt you, but this commander just by itself seems like you're just jamming your deck with 90% instants and sorceries.
I think there is probably a version of this deck that's running all of these instant speed board wipes. Boom Pile's another one we have listed here. Fraying Line is a really interesting one that puts rope counters
on stuff.
And then eventually blows up all the stuff without rope counters. And then if you build your deck and it sort of only has this creature or maybe a couple, not very many, a handful of creatures, and is mostly like instant sorcery speed, not committing to the board stuff, and then you're using these board wipes to just keep everybody else in check, and then just saying like, hey, my commander's really hard to get rid of because during my turn is the only time you can do it, and I'm in blue, so I could always counter stuff too.
Yep. I have a lot of ways to blink it as well, keep it protected, and then when I attack with it, you're hard pressed to block it. It's an interesting Spell Slingers Matters deck / also Commander Damage Matters.
Yeah, because it does have its own sort of prowess, in quotes, ability, which we'll talk about the Voltron aspect of this a little later, but I think there is a build there that's pretty board wipe heavy, and it's getting tricky with like tempo in that way.
Yeah, and obviously we'll talk a little bit about how it fits into the 99 as well, but before we get into it, let's talk quickly about our sponsors, cardgame.com/command. We're going to talk about a lot of really sweet mono blue cards today, and you might want to pick up some of them. So cardgame.com/command has the inventory you need, as well as they will ship all of it to you in one convenient package straight to your doorstep, so that when you get it, you can sleeve your Hydro Man deck right up, build it, play it, and then make your opponents really annoyed with you. Because it doesn't seem like a very fun commander necessarily.
Hey, depends on your definition of fun.
Yeah,
okay?
True. We all have different definitions of fun. Maybe you love Hydro Man more than I do. But
maybe I do.
Yeah, maybe I'm going to put it into a deck instead in the 99. Either
does
way,
seem good in the 99.
Yeah, for sure. Cardgame.com/command has the cards for you to get your deck ready to go, up to speed, and to be playing in that next Commander Night ASAP.
Yeah, and of course, once you get your cards, you want to keep them protected. Ultra Pro is the game accessories brand that we trust our own collections to here at the Command Zone. If you go to ultrapro.com/command, you can find all kinds of awesome products and good deals. They often have tons of discounts on stuff like binders, playmats, deck boxes. They have the deals with Wizards of the Coast to use their IP, so they often have like your favorite commanders or mana symbols on the product so that you can say, oh, my mono blue deck, it's in this mana 8 mono blue deck box with the sleeves, with the playmat. That matches it. They also have things like wall scrolls if you want to make your game room look really, really cool. And they have very high quality, sturdy stuff that is going to protect your cards. Like we said, we can't give them a higher endorsement than we literally use them Apex sleeves and their deck boxes and everything on our own collection. So again, ultrapro.com/command.
And the last way to support the show is directly at patreon.com/commandzone. We love our patrons. We have an exclusive Discord for them at every tier where you can talk to Josh, myself, Rachel, other members of the team in our Ask the Host channel, and just pepper us with any questions that you have. We will answer them there, as well as engage with our awesome community. You also get exclusive content at certain tiers like Turn Talk, which we film every single time after we do extra turns to hear more from the players about how that game just went. So if you have a favorite guest that's ever been on Extra Turns, good chance there is a Turn Talk episode with them right afterwards. And the best part is if you sign up now for that tier, you get access to every single piece of exclusive content we've ever released in one go, and you're supporting the show directly, so that allows us to make cool stuff like our sci-fi short that we recently filmed. Without the support of our patrons and our amazing community, this sort of stuff would not be possible. So again, patreon.com/commandzone, and we shout out one lucky patron every episode. So this episode is dedicated to
Rick Price. Rick, you rock.
You rock. You are awesome. All right, so we talked about Hydro Man being land ramp in blue, giving you extra mana on your opponent's turns. All the 1 mana counter spells like Josh talked about, Swan Song, an offer you can't refuse.
I think a lot of 1-drops you're definitely going to want. But the other side of this that's interesting when you think about sequencing is it also is really good with your 4-drop instant spells.
Ooh.
Because you play it on 2, it becomes a land, opens up that 1-drop thing, and then on turn 3, you untap, play your 3rd land, you maybe attack with this guy. Again, we said it's hard to block because they don't know. You could have 3 1-drop spells in your hand, pump it up to a 5/5, so they're probably not going to block.
And they're cantrips, so you can draw more, who knows?
Yep, and then you just pass the turn, it untaps and becomes a land, and you have 4 mana available. So now it's also really good for 4 mana instant spells. And this is a good way to play blue in general. It's just, hey, I'm going to make most of my actions on other people's turns. I'm going to be scary. You're not going to want to make moves against it because I might stop it. You're not going to want to play your best stuff. It keeps your opponents off balance.
And in the meantime, when they don't play the best stuff and you don't need to remove or counterspell everything, you just play a value spell.
Yeah, you just go, oh, cool, I'll play a spell that draws me some cards then, and then I'll do the same thing on the next turn. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Fact or Fiction's a great example here. Turnabout, a great way to untap a bunch of stuff and have an even bigger play. Rewind and Cryptic Command are ways to counter stuff.
Rewind's so good because you're like, stop that thing and then untap, and they're in the same position. The next player's in the same position where like, do I play my best thing? Probably not.
Memory Deluge, great way to draw a bunch of cards. So you're basically never having an empty hand and you're never out of action on turn 4 specifically.
I really like Cryptic Command. Generally hard to cast, but this
mono blue deck.
This commander is mono blue and taps for blue, so it gives you one of the blue you're gonna need. And Cryptic Command could be a win con later of tap everything down.
Yeah.
The game's gone on long enough, you draw enough cards, you're gonna be able to string together a bunch of spells and then pump it to maybe knock somebody out of the game or whatever. Cryptic Command also can work offensively.
Yeah. Yeah, especially because you are potentially a Voltron deck.
Yeah.
Delightful Discovery is a really fun one. It costs 5, but costs 1 less for each spell your opponents have cast, so you scry 2 then draw 2. And then there's the 4-mana Flash package. So, Josh, what's one of your favorite discards in recent years?
High Fey Trickster.
Hey,
so good in this deck.
On a creature that you can flash out, and then boom.
Your whole deck has Flash now. Yeah. That seems amazing.
Yeah. Mind Splice Apparatus is also in there. There's Sphinx of Forgotten Lore. You also have Subtlety, Enduring Curiosity. There's so many options at 4 mana for flash speed cards in blue. It's actually pretty surprising. I didn't realize there were so many.
Yeah, I think the curve may look a little different than your normal curve in a deck like this. A lot of 1-drops and a lot of 4-drops. Yeah. And you'll still play some 2s, 3s, and 5s and stuff. But in general, those should probably have spikes because those sit at really interesting parts of the curve that are really going to be important for you, just to get your game plan sort of smoothly going early on.
Yeah, and you can even probably put more 5s in your deck as well, especially like the big value ones.
Yeah, if you're going to be playing this way, likely you're going to do that thing we said on 4, and then you're going to do the same thing on 5, and you're going to, all those 4-drops are still good, but that also opens up instant speed 5-drops that maybe...
And 6-drops.
Yeah, that maybe you don't play as much in every deck, but are still really powerful if you can sort of justify them.
Yeah, Mystic Confluence, really good.
Spell Swindle. I love Mystic Confluence. I love Spell Swindle. Any deck that lets me play those, you feel so safe when you have them.
Yeah.
And they're so explosive. You Spell Swindle a 5-drop, and then it's like, what are they going to do?
Yeah, next turn you have 20 mana, like 15 mana
And available. You do the same thing, like, okay, cool, attack.
Yeah.
They don't block, cool, go.
Or even if they do block, crack some treasures, eat your thing, you gain value off it, what are they going to do about it?
And they're like, oh, crap. And then he untaps, and then he passes, and he's still got 7 mana to mess around with.
Yeah, and I can't remove their commander. And even if I do remove their commander, that doesn't stop their game plan necessarily, because they're just going to keep going with the stuff already, which is like, oh my gosh, what are you going to do at that point?
Yeah, pretty great. So I like commanders like this that make you think about like where on the curve you're likely to sequence your plays and then build your deck, with some of that in mind for sure. We've already alluded to the Voltron part of this, which is like, because I like everything we're talking about, but the classic question with this stuff is like, how do you win?
How do you win in mono?
Yeah, how do you actually knock people out?
Yeah, without making the game drag on and make people go, I'd never want to play that deck again.
They might say no matter what you do with this kind of play style, but the good thing here, maybe not great, but good, I think, is Hydro Man does have a pump ability on itself that's sort of tied to, just what it is intrinsically. That prowess thing we were talking about, but it's for any blue spell.
Spells. Yeah, it could even be a permanent. It could be a creature. It doesn't really matter, which is nice.
So my thinking is you're probably doing what we've talked about early, crafting your hand till you get, enough prowess things, and then you're going and knocking a player out all out of nowhere in one turn. And because you've been able to chip in, like we talked about, hard to block earlier, I think identifying who's probably your worst matchup or the strongest deck at the table and getting them into a position where they are 12, 13, 14 damage away, commander damage away from being knocked out.
Yeah.
Can give you that ability to be like, get rid of that really problematic player. And that's where you're using some of your 1-drops that were good early, but also like the brainstorms and the cantrips and the ops and stuff like that are going to be a good way to like pay that off and make sure that like I am moving towards a win with all this control-y stuff I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we have a little bit more to talk about Hydro Man, Fluid, Felon, but before we do, let's hear a quick message from our mid-roll sponsors.
This message is sponsored by RAYCON.
I am Edgar Markov, vomiter of vampires, bane of brackets 2, 3, and 4. But now I am back in this stylish retro frame. In many ways, I am just like my beloved RAYCON Everyday Earbuds Classic. Let us count them. 1. We both deliver top-tier performance in an elegant classic look. 2. I am less pricey post-reprint, and RAYCONs are half the price of other premium brands. 3. The latest version of RAYCON's Everyday Earbuds Classic now features active noise cancellation, so we can both silence the riffraff with a single tap. 4. Everyone loves us. These RAYCONs are my favorite way to blast some Baroque beats while bashing your opponent's bloody. And with tens of thousands of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-star reviews, countless others agree. But let's count them anyway. 1, 2, 3.
Click the link in the description box or go to buyraycon.com/command to get 20% off site-wide. Again, that's buyraycon.com/command.
And in August we have that set, and in September we have another.
Rachel, wake up. I think the product fatigue may have finally gotten to you.
Look, I can talk about cards all day. It's not that. It's the summer heat and my old mattress. I just haven't been sleeping well.
Oh, well, if you want to upgrade your sleep, what you got to do is get a new mattress from Brooklyn Bedding. I got the Aurora Lux cooling mattress, and it has been amazing. The cooling foam keeps me comfortable through the night, so I always wake up rested and refreshed. Brooklyn Bedding mattresses are great for spinal alignment and back health too, and there are plenty of different options for any body type or sleep style. They've even got an easy 2-minute quiz to help you find the perfect match for you.
Nice. I'll take that quiz right after recording.
Sounds good. Now, are you ready to talk about the thousands of new cards to keep track of?
The product fatigue! He's crashing! We need his cool and rejuvenating Brooklyn Bedding mattress! Stat!
Go to brooklynbedding.com and use our promo code COMMAND at checkout to get 30% off site-wide. This offer is not available anywhere else. That's brooklynbedding.com and promo code COMMAND for 30% off site-wide. Make sure you enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. Again, brooklynbedding.com, promo code COMMAND.
It's everyone's favorite lobster chef, Ragost, deft gastronaut. I used to think the best way to eat smart was to eat parts, yes? Spacecraft, robots, laser swords, you name it, I'd cook it. But melting the metal took forever, and my hunger moves at light speed. So thank my lucky stars that Factor whooped into my life. Factor helps me eat smarter and faster with delicious chef-crafted meals delivered right to my door. Even after I turn all your scrap into scrumptious food, Factor still has more variety with over 65 weekly options to choose from. And healthy too. There's global flavors inspired by China and Thailand, and even premium seafood options like salmon or shrimp at no extra cost. My favorite is the savory Greek feta shrimp with peppers and broccoli. Hopefully none of those shrimp are my cousins, though.
Eat smart at factormeals.com/command50off and use code command50off to get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code command50off at factormeals.com for 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. Get delicious, ready-to-eat meals delivered with Factor. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase.
You know what my favorite thing is about ARCHIDEKT? The color tags. Each card has a tab that you can use to mark collection status or whatever else you want. So when I'm building or updating a deck, I'll mark what I have, what I've ordered, and what I don't have yet. It really helps me stay organized. Plus, you can add more tags in new colors to mark anything from potential cuts to new additions. And better organization makes for better decks. So go ahead, try it out.
ARCHIDEKT is the best place to browse, brew, and playtest commander decks. Just go to archidekt.com/commandzone to get started.
That's ARCHIDEKT.com/commandzone. All right, we're back. We're talking about the new Hydro Man from the Spider-Man set.
Yeah, very cool. Definitely one of the more unique cards I think I've seen in a long time. It actually makes me a little interested in maybe build a mono blue deck around it. Maybe.
This one, Jimmy, of all the blue?
Yeah, it's good. You got to attack with it. You know?
That's true, actually. This one, yes, you need to attack, so it finally tickled that right part of your brain for blue to seem cool.
I was like looking at a couple other mono blue options, like, man, all this is doing is just drawing cards on people's turns and then not killing them. So it's like, this has something in there. You know,
I don't know. That first thing you described sounds really fun to me.
Yeah. There you go.
The not killing them, but doing a lot. Yeah.
You do have to get Hydro Man pretty high up in power, and you would think, okay, Voltron, am I going to try to put equipment on him? Like, probably not.
Equipment in the aura is bad, right? Because when it turns to a land, it falls off. Yeah.
So in that case, how do I put stuff on Hydro Man that lets it stick around? And +1/+1 counters is a pretty good strategy in mono blue. So Prof's Eidetic Memory, very popular in some standard brews, is a way to just give +1/+1 counters to your commander, and then when it turns into a land, it doesn't exile the creature and remove it. The card is still there, it's just a land, but it will hold the counters.
Yeah, so if you somehow get a bunch of counters onto Hydro Man, when it turns into the land, it'll just still get those, and then when it becomes a creature again on your turn, it's now bigger, that size every time. And the good thing about 1/1 counters in blue is blue's a proliferate color.
Aha.
So you can play into that.
Flux Chandler now?
Yeah, I think you could lean that way and play some of the cantripy proliferate stuff.
Yeah.
And, there's the other cards that put counters on are stuff like, I guess there's Soul Cauldron, a really good one.
Yeah, really expensive, but this one's actually super sweet because now if you're giving your commander both 1/1 counters and activated abilities, then you can use it for that if combat isn't looking too appealing on your turn, which is sick.
So there's a bunch of ways to just get a couple counters on initially, and then I think there's a version of this that's like maybe a little less cantripy and a little more like proliferate-y.
Yeah, Flux Chandler works really well here. I will note that there are a couple of equipment that still work really well. Lost Jite and Astrologian's Planisphere, which is a Final Fantasy card, but a pretty cheap equip cost. Lost Jite has 1 and Planisphere has 2, but Planisphere you can get a bunch of 1/1 counters on your commander because it does it every time you cast a non-creature. And then Lost Jite does reward you for attacking to both untap lands, make a creature not block, or put 1/1 counters on it with the charge counters. So I would say those are like less high on the priority list, and you probably want to test it out. It probably plays pretty clunky. It's a little clunky. But it is, again, another way.
Clunkily.
Yeah, clunkily dunkily. It's Ned Flanders has entered the chat. Simpsons, you be when. So those are other ways of doing it. And then, of course, you do have things like Scroll of the Masters, Sword of the Chosen, which is a card that gives a legendary creature +2/+2 until end turn when you tap it.
Yeah, you could think of that almost like an equipment with no equip cost.
With no equip cost, yeah. One
which
time
is nice.
use,
it won't fall off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Voltron is tough to pull off in blue because it doesn't have, in this case, because the equipment and the aura don't work, and it doesn't have like pump spells like red and green have that are going to like give the creature +10/+10 or something, so that it's hard to take advantage of this thing where I'm going to bounce all this stuff on the end step and then my creature turns into a creature, but if it's just a 2/2.
Yeah.
But there are some things you can do. Octavia's a good one.
Sick, actually, because you're going to get so many instant or sorceries in your graveyard, so this might just cost blue, and then all of a sudden, boom, make your commander an 8/8. That gets that +1/+1 ability, and then you can just cast Perfect and make it flying.
A couple of spells, and all of a sudden it hits for that 10 or 11 or 12 that you needed because, again, you chipped in early or something like that.
Yeah. You're definitely chipping in early because you're playing this on 2, pretty much guaranteed every time, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So that's sort of the Voltron-y strategy that is a little harder to pull off, I think, just because people see it coming. But you've got disruption. You've got ways to stop people from coming in.
It's going to probably have that problem where it's hard to get the initial 1/1 counters on the creature, and then once you do, you can proliferate and get them going. But it's going to be like, gosh, I need that card that's going to put the first counter on there.
Yeah, and you want to have spells in your deck, instant speed spells that just proliferate on them, right? So that will help you out a lot too.
Of course, we talked about this idea of like 1 mana or low cost cantrips or little pump spells that are going to be good with this commander. And I think, we talked about Brainstorm and Opt and Consider and that kind of stuff. But also there are some small pump spells in blue. They don't give +3/+3 or +10/+10, but stuff like Maximize Altitude is a 1 mana sorcery that says target creature gets +1/+1 and gains flying until end of turn and has Jumpstart.
So you can cast it
use
again.
it again.
Yeah.
And this it's really +2/+2 and flying, right? And then you jumpstart it, you've given it +4/+4. And again, that's what could kind of get you over the hump of like, okay, and now I'm going to try and kill somebody.
Yeah, so evasion's really important in this deck beyond, because one thing too is like after you get 5 damage and everyone goes, oh, I see what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw something in front of it regardless. Sword Coast Sailor is a background that allows your commander to be unblocked. Distortion Strike, Shadow Rift. Some of these are sorceries, so you do have to do on your turn. It's very broadcasted. But again, you're just trying to give your commander evasion, and then the pump ability is already going to be happening past that.
Yeah, I really like the ones that are just like 1 mana, draw a card on them, and like give Shadow or something. Like Shadow Rift is great.
Yeah, Enter the Enigma, similar, Yeah,
you get the pump, but it replaces itself. And this is going to play a little stormy, right? The payoff for the storm is hit them with the creature.
Yeah, and then all the cantrips you can in this deck. We talked about Opt, even like Repeal, which is just X in the blue, you can just cast it for mana value X is equal to 1 or 2 or even 0 if you can target some things on the battlefield. And then boom, you draw a card on top of it.
And then another thing you might think of doing if you're building the deck this way is like, oh, well, I'm already kind of just prowessy in general. So including some other prowess payoffs could be good. Hraesvelgar from the Final Fantasy set. Yeah.
How fitting.
I played this in the Final Fantasy Game Nights episode.
It did work.
Yeah, it's 4 and a blue for an Elder Dragon. It's a 5/5 flying, Vigilance, Ward 2, but it says when it enters and whenever you cast a non-creature spell, target creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn and can't be blocked.
Wow.
It might be a thing where you have a few other prowessy creatures in here. Again, I think your creature count's probably kind of low, but 1 or 2 others to help you just sort of get that damage up there.
Yeah, Triton Wavebreaker is a bestow creature, gets +1/+1 that has prowess. So now you're doubling up that prowess trigger, which is pretty good.
Yeah, I like that because it's like prowess, bestow it on, cast a couple things, make Hydro-Man big, get in for that big swing, and then when it turns into a land, this thing, you don't lose it. It jumps off and becomes a creature that also gets pumped by your other stuff later. Yeah, that's a pretty good play pattern.
Yeah, and then you're kind of like maybe even going wide a little bit in some versions of this deck as well. Of course, you have other just cards that have prowess on them so that you could just have an army of like, it's not just your commander hitting it, now you've got like 5/6s or whatever, or your Kitsa, Otterball Elite, your Dray
any deck
catchers.
that can play Kitsa, I love.
Yeah. And so now you're building like a Tower End type build, and just your commander is just another way to have more mana, more ways to cast instants, and more ways to go wide.
Yeah, the balance on those can be delicate because it's like, well, I want some creatures that have prowess, but then that cuts down on the amount of non-creature spells I have in my deck, so that can be a tough thing to juggle, but also could be very powerful.
You know, we've talked about it as the commander, but this I think actually is really sweet outside of the command zone. Now, obviously having access to it always on turn 2 makes it even better because you have that mana ramp. It's almost like a mana rock in your deck. But I think a lot of decks in the 99, so like Watcher in the Water is one, for instance, wants to draw a bunch of cards, makes a big army, and so that prowess, you know, you're trying to apply it to your whole army instead. Even the Kitsa Otterball Elite deck, right, is already just trying to do big things, cast a lot of spells.
Yeah, and also has an activated ability, right, that gives you a little bit of extra mana that you could use on your turn at instant speed. Because I think that's the big thing, sort of, if you're thinking about this in your 99. I do think it's going to be quite good in a lot of 99s. You have to be heavy blue because it's blue-blue.
Yeah.
But you can think of it in some ways like a blue rampant growth. But as long as you have like 25 plus instance flash things you can do, or if your commander had like a 1 mana activated ability or something like that, it all of a sudden this becomes quite good because you can use that extra mana. The restriction of not being able to use it on your turn could sort of keep it from being an actual rampant growth. But at the same time, you play rampant growth, that mana comes in tapped.
Yeah, you can't even use it on that turn anyway.
Yeah, this giving you that mana on that first turn you play it does make it like a mana rock, like you said, but with upside. A mana rock that can attack, can get bigger. That seems quite powerful to me, and I think there's a number of my blue decks that would be interested in this, mostly as in the ramp category, but the ramp category with significant upside.
Yeah, I think if you're a prowess deck, a lot of Izzet decks will like this. Even Hraesvelgar of the First Blood we just talked about is, you know, it's an unblockable deck. And
that's true. You flip it, right? Instead of putting Hraesvelgar in the Hydro-Man deck, you put the Hydro-Man in the Hraesvelgar deck.
Yeah.
Just trying to have to say Hraesvelgar as many times as possible.
Hraesvelgar, yeah, exactly. Fortunately, not too many of those types of cards in the Spider-Man world with crazy pronunciations.
I think we've been saying it right?
Yeah, well, I think so. We checked. On the day we recorded it, we like sat there, everyone got their phones out, everyone's going to Google being like, all right, how do you pronounce this thing?
Hraesvelgar.
Yeah, so I think it's really good in the 99, a bunch of stuff. Just like, it needs to be a spell slinger type deck, needs to want to be casting stuff on other people's turns.
A lot of instants,
But I think like it's one of those cards that is sneaky good. People are going to look at it and go like, oh, that's interesting. And then go, wow, you're getting a lot of value out of this card and you're hitting me with it.
It's in that long lineage, very like powerful lineage that blue has of like good 2-drops.
Yeah.
That like have enough little pieces that all out. Kids has another one of those, but there's so many these days, the Malcolms and stuff of the world that we love these kind of things that have, they're small, but they got flying and looting.
Yeah.
Or but what later in the game they can copy a spell or they have prowess.
Yeah,
it's like, and those tend to be really, really powerful. I'm not sure exactly where this will fit in, but the fact that it adds mana, it is a ramp piece, is significantly different than a lot of the 2-drops that I just mentioned. That are usually like looting, card value, card advantage engines in some way. And this adds the other pillar piece to a blue 2-drop, mana, right? We're always talking about card draw and mana ramp.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see this being a card we just sort of see around a lot. Maybe not as much as a commander, although I think there are interesting decks you can build with it.
Yeah, the blue makes it a little bit tougher in any 3-color decks, but I think a bunch of 2-color decks, any mono blue decks will look at this card and go, I don't see a reason not to include it.
Well, and the good thing is, like you said earlier, which I really agree with, which is like, yeah, you got to have flash speed stuff, and you got to have a lot of instants and sorcery, or a lot of instants.
Yeah.
Well, those are usually going to be decks with blue in them and a heavy amount of blue, because those things are naturally in blue. If this was a red card, all of a sudden it gets a little bit harder to play, because you can't really imagine the decks that fit the color pie for that. So yeah,
unless it's Izzet.
So I guess it's safe to say I kind of like this card.
Yeah, it's decent. It's really cool. It's a fun one for us to preview here. I've never seen Hydro Man in the comics before. It's a new foe to me, a new villain.
Yeah, I'm not. I've seen all the movies, so but,
Hydro Man's definitely on the movies. I think the more commonly known one is like Sandman.
Yeah, of course, because in the movie.
But of course, there's got to be a Hydro Man if there's a Sandman.
That's a good point.
There's probably an Airman. There's an Electricity Man.
We're going to Airman and Fireman and Earthman.
Oh no, now we're just
pretty
playing.
soon.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the next set.
That's right.
Which is already getting previewed.
Yeah, fun.
Okay. To the listeners, what do you think about Hydro Man Fluid Felon? Did we miss any cards that you think would be perfectly in a deck built around him? Or do you have a deck that you're like, oh, geez, Hydro Man's going right in that deck? We'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, if you want to pick up any of those cards, as well as pre-order some of the Spider-Man stuff or any of the other Universes Beyond that are coming out soon, cardkingdom.com/command. Place to go. Place we trust our own collections too as well when we're ordering stuff for Game Nights Live, for our show, for our own personal decks. cardkingdom.com/command. Get all the cards in one convenient package to your doorstep and support the show while doing so.
Yeah, and of course, once you get those cards, you want to keep them protected. Ultra Pro, we can't recommend them highly enough. ultrapro.com/command is the place to go to get all your sleeves, your playmats. They have all the game accessories. They make really high quality stuff. It's super sturdy and it will protect your game pieces. Their Mythic Alcove stuff or the Mana 8 line, love it. It's so great for like Magic Cons and things like that.
Yep. Again, ultrapro.com/command. All right, we have some time here. Let's talk about an end step, something cool outside the world of Magic. I have one.
I think I know what it is, but I want to hear you talk about it.
Yeah, I texted you about it. It's the movie Weapons. It's by Zach Krager. It is a horror/thriller/part comedy.
Oh, I didn't know about the comedy thing.
It's not like in your face. Here's a yuck.
It's got some laughs.
Yeah, it's got some moments where you're like, oh wow, and huge like, oh no, groan moments of like, you're scared and terrified. It reminded me a lot of Get Out in that way. Where Get Out is a little more broadly comedic in a lot of its moments, but there were times when you're just chuckling at what is happening.
The ridiculousness of the situation.
It's so ridiculous. It's so perfect. It's so buttoned up. And by the end of it, I really despise horror movies that don't know where they're going by the end. And it just kind of
like a lot of them don't.
Yeah, it just kind of like Sunshine's a great example of this. Like it randomly turns into a horror movie by the end. You're like, what is even happening? Or just a lot of horror movies that don't really know what to do with the villain or the end premise, and it just kind of ends in like a bloodbath or just something silly.
They just kind of kill the villain.
Yeah, they kill the villain. It kind of wraps up. But this is a movie just like Get Out, where by the end you're like, they put the box, they filled every corner, and they put the lid on it, put a bow on it, and it's done.
It's a satisfying ending.
It's satisfying.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah. So
the premise of the show, so tell me if I get it right, is like a bunch of kids disappear in the night, and they kind of discover, like in the middle of the night, and they kind of discover they were all from the same class.
Yeah, all the children from one single classroom at
the school. And they're
like
elementary school kids, right?
Yeah, elementary school, very young, except for one kid in the class and the teacher. All at the same time, 2:17 a.m., got up from their beds and just ran in this weird, like...
Almost Naruto.
Yeah, you see it in the... Yeah, Naruto run somewhere. They all bolt out of their house, and all they have like Nest cameras and stuff in the show, so all the parents have this on footage.
They know they all left at the same time. They don't know why, and then they sort of realize they're all from the same class.
They're all from the same class, and the movie picks up a month after that happens, and it plays through a bunch of the perspectives of the people that are going through it.
It's a cool setup. I hear the setup, and I'm like, that's a good setup for a horror movie, because now I'm curious, like, what the heck happened?
Yeah, what the heck happened? And so it goes into, I won't spoil where it goes to, but it's a lot of fun, and it blends that mix of like, this is an insanely crazy premise, and there's a little bit of like, ooh, elevated, like this isn't normal, what's happening, something's going on, why'd they all get like,
Yeah, is there a scientific reason? Is there a supernatural reason? Is it aliens or something?
Yeah,
like, who knows? Like, I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm open to watch it this weekend. My girlfriend does not like horror movies. Like, won't watch a horror movie, like, TV spot.
Yeah,
like,
not good for people that don't like horror movies.
Yeah, but she's going to be out of town this weekend, so I'm like, this might be my chance. I can watch Sinners, and I can watch Weapons.
Oh, nice. Perfect.
So,
Sinners is on streaming now, right, too?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that as well. It's a good I
keep, like, blooping past it on HBO, because she's sitting on the couch beside, and like, she won't watch it.
Yeah. That one definitely has a lot of horror elements in it as well. But yeah, really fun movie. And it's I think Jordan Peele's team, he wanted to either produce it or be a part of the production.
The rumor around town is that like he wanted to be involved with the movie and ended up not being involved and was not happy about
Not happy.
that. Like, he was like, this script is amazing. I want to be involved.
Script's amazing. I want
Yeah.
to be involved. He's done a lot of production. He's producing a new horror movie called Him. It's about like a football player that pays any price to be good. But he didn't get involved. And I think some people may have gotten fired over it.
I'm going to take this moment to still complain about how we name movies, though, because Weapons is a crap name, Him is a crap name, as is Ambulance and Dog, which I talked about before. So we'll just stop.
Dog
there.
is
We
the
suck
worst.
at naming movies still.
Yeah.
Weapons.
Him is a bad name for
Those
a
are
movie.
bad. Yeah. You had Nope. I mean, it's not him. It's the industry is like so scared of naming anything. They just want to name everything vanilla.
Yeah. I liked when it was just like Paranormal Activity. It's like, okay, cool.
That's a name.
What's going on?
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, we used to have cool names. Now we just say Him.
Yeah.
Ambulance. What the hell? Dog. Dog's still the worst one ever.
Even Snakes on a Plane is better than Dog.
All right, we better wrap this up, otherwise we're never going to let people go. But,
we have a lot more movie names that are bad. Where that came from?
I could do a whole podcast episode complaining about bad movie names.
Yeah, that's fine.
And it would just be me saying one word after another.
Yeah. And then we could come up with better movie names, too. That's a whole show. All right. Big thanks to our amazing team here at the Command Zone. Sebastian Salazar, Karina Cruz, Gaurav Galati, Jamie Block, Jordan Pridgeon, Jake Boss, Becky Bell, Rachel Kendra, Eric Lem, Manson Lung, Josh Murphy, Evan Limburger, Sam Waldo, and, of course, Rachel Weeks.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching.
And we'll see you next time. Flip. Water.